Hey loves, hey babies, Adahi and Tayu Songin. The question for the video today is, what hardships do I think it's important that you face at least once in your life? And this is a bit of a challenge because as your mom, as much as I know it's good for you to face certain hardships, it's really hard for me to see you suffering in any way, even if I know it's best. Also, it's hard to stop my instinct to want to protect you, even though I know it's important that you face hardships. I don't want you to enter life weak and soft and unable to deal with bad things. They're going to happen. Sad things, bad things, traumatic things, cruel things, things that leave you shaken and unsure of what your next step should be, things that leave you feeling helpless and frustrated, and maybe, hopefully for a small period of time, hopeless. Those things are out there. There's loads of beautiful things in life. One of my favorite quotes by the Buddha is, life is composed of 1,000 joys and 1,000 sorrows, and none are to be avoided. And I know that's true. And I think that I've had more sorrows than joys, and that's really good news because looking ahead, come on, joys. But what I want to say to you, the hardships I think are necessary to face at least once. The first one that comes to mind is a broken heart. And I think it's important to get it out of the way when you're young and you still have hope and you're still strong, which isn't to say that you don't have hope at my age. I have loads of hope, maybe even more. So I might do another video taking this back. But tonight I feel like I want to say that a broken heart's important to experience because when you have your heart broken for the first time, at whatever age may be, you'll have a moment where you think, I don't know how to go on. This hurts so much. I believed in this person and they believed in me. I saw things in this person that were so special that I might never see in anyone again. And they saw things in me that no one will ever see again. They really saw me. They really loved me. And I don't know if I'll ever have love like this again. And it was so special. And it showed me parts of myself I didn't know were there. And it brought out things in me that I didn't know were there. And for a while, it was me and this person. We made a team. It was us facing life together. And that was such a strong, happy-making situation. And now it's just me. And I feel so alone. And I feel so rejected. And I feel so hurt that this person that I was prepared to spend a good amount of time with is no longer wanting to love me or call me or tell me that I mean something. How do I go on? That's going to happen. And it's okay. And in that moment, you're allowed to feel all those things. You're allowed to feel hopeless in that moment. But I want you to know that it will pass. And that there isn't just one person in the world for you. You are capable of being loved and of loving more than one person. And I hope that you find as many of your people as you can. Maybe you have a relationship when you're 18 that lasts until you're 24. And that relationship is one where you have loads of fun and it's successful and you party together and you go out together and you discover things for the first time together because you're in your 20s. And then it ends and you're heartbroken. But then maybe in your 30s you find the person that you want to raise a family with. And that person is a great partner and a great parent with you. And then maybe the kids leave the house. And you think, I've changed so much since having kids. And now I want somebody who I can travel the world with. And who wants to have fun again because it's time. And you discover that person. So I guess what I'm saying is you might have a series of relationships that end. And that feels terrible. But the end of a relationship is time to rediscover your own happiness, your own beautiful solitude, but also a chance to find another person who's right for you, maybe in different ways. So I think it's important to experience heartbreak at least once. Another thing I think it's important for you to experience once, and I think it's really difficult for me, and I try and stop it from happening, much to my detriment, is humiliation. Humiliation might be one of the things I fear most because it represents a complete loss of control. And it means that my happiness is temporarily in someone else's hands. I never did talent shows at my schools. I never did. When my writing was going really well, my Blue Elephant years, and I had a chance to do shows, and I had a chance to publish, and I had people interested in my work, I froze. Because what if I wasn't good enough? What if I wound up humiliated with people saying, you're awful at what you do, at what you love, at what you've wanted to do since you were a child, the only job you've ever really known that was for you? What if someone says, you're terrible at this, you should really do something else? The feeling that I imagined would happen made me decide it wasn't even worth it to try. And that is one of my biggest regrets. I wish I'd put myself out there. I wish I'd risked feeling so embarrassed and so humiliated, because no matter what, I would have survived it, and I would have learned something about myself, and I would have become stronger in the end. I know that now, but I didn't then. And so as much as it'll hurt me, and as much as I'll try and rescue you and probably threaten people for hurting your feelings, I think it's important to experience humiliation at least once, because you grow and you survive, and it really does make you stronger. I know that to be true. And I'll be there to help you through it, I promise. Oh, I'll be there. And loads of people that love you will be there. The third and last thing I think it's impossible to experience at least once is genuine fear. I think it's important to not know if you're going to make it, and to look back in the end and realize that you survived something that maybe you shouldn't have, or maybe you are just lucky to have survived. Maybe something that you survived without utilizing any particular skill. The right person just showed up at the right time, and you got lucky. I think I've experienced quite a few of those situations. I think you know that the way I grew up, I was around people who were dangerous. I was, in many ways, the only person like myself in the room. I was the only queer person. I was the only black person. I was the only woman. I was the only person who thought the way I thought about belief and religion and politics. A lot of times I was the only person in the room that thought the way I thought, looked the way I looked, felt the way I felt. And a lot of times that landed me in really dangerous situations, and I didn't see it coming. I think I've told you the story of going over to a friend's house, and her cousin, uncle, something, who was 18, we might have been 10, he was 18, he said, let's go for a walk to me, and I was kind of gullible and sweet and country girl, and we went for a walk, and halfway through the walk, he went into a little barn. We were maybe about a mile off the main house property, and pulled out a gun, 22 sawed-off shotgun, and said, I'm gonna teach you how to shoot. And I said, okay. I must have weighed 60 pounds maybe. I was a tiny kid. And he taught me how to shoot. He taught me how to pull the trigger. And I remember pulling the trigger. And then the next thing I remember is coming back from unconsciousness, because the recoil had blown me back against the wall of the barn. And for weeks I had a massive bruise. And when I came to, the gun wasn't even in my hands anymore. He was holding it, and he was looking at me. And I was like, what did you do? That was terrible. Like, I could have been hurt. My head hurt. I had a bruise in the back of my head. And he said, I want to teach you how to shoot, because later on, you might have to protect yourself from me and people like me. I was like, whoa, what? My heart dropped. I felt sick. I wanted to throw up. And he said, I'm a card-carrying member of the KKK, girl. He didn't say girl. He said a worse word. But he said, people like me are eventually going to be hunting people like you. We're going to come for you. And I want it to be fun, and I want you to have a fighting chance. So maybe if you learn how to shoot, it'll be more fun for me when I get to hunt you. And it's a terrible story, and it's a horrible story that should never have happened. But I learned something that day. I made it back to the house. I called my parents, please come pick me up. I don't remember what happened after that. I don't remember if he got in trouble or anything, but that's not important. The important part is that day I learned to not assume that friends of friends, relatives of friends were safe. And I don't think I was ever naive, per se, but in certain ways I was. I wanted to believe the best of people, and I still do. But when someone shows you who they are, it's good to believe them. And I think the people I grew up with showed me who they were loads and loads. And because I really wanted to get along with people, and I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to be liked, and I wanted to like people, I pretended not to see things. I pretended not to see the Confederate flag on all the cars in that driveway when we pulled up. I pretended not to know that people that I went to school with and church with were vile, horrible, racist people who didn't deserve a moment of my time. And I deserved not to be in harm's way. But I learned that day, even though I probably could have lost my life. I didn't know how safe or sane that kid was. I learned to not always be trusting. And I think that's a really good lesson. And had the situation not been so dramatic and so terrifying, it might have taken me longer to learn that lesson. And I might not have walked away from the next lesson. And so in that moment, I began to pay attention to what people showed me and to really notice body language and stickers on cars and ideologies. And I learned to ask certain questions that would allow me to see who people really were before I trusted them or went to a place that might not be safe with them. And that's an important lesson to learn. So 3 things. I hope that you experience heartbreak once and recover beautifully and more stronger in the broken places. I hope you mend stronger and don't let it make you bitter, or don't allow it to make you believe that love isn't beautiful. It's wonderful. You're going to experience it loads in so many different forms. Never give up on love. Just find the right people to love. Trust the right people with your heart, and trust the right people to give your heart to. I hope that you experience humiliation and survive it and pick up the pieces. People are really more defined by their failures than by their successes. You will fail. You will be embarrassed. You will want to sink through a hole in the floor. You will want to run out of a room screaming and never turn around and come back in again and never try anything hard again. You just want to get in bed and not get up. Get out of bed. Get up and try again. It's worth it. Life is here for you to experience everything. And the 3rd thing is, learn how to push through fear and find the lessons that are there for you. They are there, and they will make you stronger and more beautiful and more, they'll give you better perspective. You'll learn what's true and what's not, and what works and what doesn't, and what situations to become a part of and what situations to say, nope, I'm out, deuces. That's the video for today. I love you all so much, and I can't wait to grow up with you. I'm so looking forward to living life with you, and not only witnessing you fail, succeed, experience joy and sorrow, but being there to process with you, because I'm growing up every day. I'm getting younger every day. I'm getting older every day. I'm looking forward to experiencing all these things with you. I love you with my whole heart.